What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike. Today I'm going to be story time. So buckle in. In fact, I got to start a stopwatch because this is almost certainly going to take more than 30 minutes and my camera's going to cut out at the worst, most inopportune time. So I decided to tell you the story or to talk about what it is like facing 12 years in prison in jury trial, going to trial, facing 12 years in prison. So to first set the stage of how I got myself into this situation, and because of the fact that this doesn't just involve me and there's criminal proceedings, I'm not telling every single solitary detail because I'm really not trying to court nightmares here. But I think that this information might be interesting to anyone who could find themselves in this position, or who knows? I mean, people seem to like my story. So here we go. In 2007, I think it was like November-ish 2007, I was still married to my first wife, and we had my oldest son was then, I think, like 17 months old, 15, 17 months old, something like that. And the Cliff's Notes version of it is that we got into a fight. We got into a very bad fight. I had actually been planning to divorce her, but we were living in Seattle, Washington at the time, and we had literally just moved there. We'd only been there for like 3 or 4 months, and I had gone to see a divorce attorney, and he had told me, like, look, dude, don't file for a divorce until you've been living in this state for 6 months, or the custody battle will go back to Texas. And so if you plan on trying to keep your kids in the state of Washington, then you have to be living here for a minimum of 6 months, which of course is shitty because you've already decided to divorce your wife, and you've already kind of like, you know, broken the marriage. Like, I'd gone to see an attorney and was ready to file that day. And so mentally you're in one place, which is, I'm done with this marriage and I want out. And then you find out that you basically have to go play nice for 2 months. And so that's a lot. And so I was like, okay, well, you know, thank you for letting me know that. Obviously, I'm going to go try to keep my nose clean for 2 months, and then I will be back to see you when we can spring the trap on. I know that sounds shitty. You know, whatever. It is what it is. Our marriage was irretrievably broken, and I just wanted out. And so over the course of the next couple of months, things obviously were not good. And, you know, we decided in our infinite wisdom to have like a night of drinking. I usually drank. Anyway, we would drink wine and we would watch Netflix, you know, movies and stuff. And that was kind of what we did in the evenings. And so we actually went out drinking to a bar that was right down the street. And, you know, the drinks start flowing and conversation is, you know, and you're starting to feel good. And so like one bar led to another bar. And all told, I ended up having, I think, 12 mixed drinks. It was like 6 doubles is what I was drinking. I was drinking these vodka cocktails, usually like vodka, sweet and sour lime, something basic like that, but I was getting them double shots. And so I was hammered. Now, to put this into perspective, I was averaging 1/4 liter of vodka a night anyway. So if you're thinking, holy shit, 12 shots of vodka in a short period of time, that was not, unfortunately, I was a raging alcoholic. That was not atypical for me. So I drove home like I was perfectly, you know, good to drive. Obviously, I wouldn't have passed the field sobriety test, but you know, I handle my liquor well as far as being able to function. Like I can drink just gigantic amounts of alcohol. I've never been stumbling drunk. Like, I don't even know how the fuck I would start vomiting long before I would be like fucking stumbling around. So we actually got into a fight on the way home. Sometimes when I get very intoxicated, which I don't drink at all anymore, but back then when I was drinking, sometimes I would go to a dark place And I think I was making dumb statements about somebody in a car in front of me, like following them or some. I was just like in a dark, weird place. I knew my marriage was over. I'm hammered, and now it's like shifted gears from like that fun come up phase to the alcohol's really weighing on you, and you're not really feeling it, and you really just want to go and pass out. So we got back to our apartment. It was actually like a little condo, and she started in fighting with me over medical insurance, of all things, is what she picked to fight about at fucking 2:30 in the morning. Was fucking medical insurance. We didn't have medical insurance, and all she had to do was pick a plan. She had to pick the plan. She couldn't figure out what plan to pick. And I was actually playing a video game called Company of Heroes. And so I'm like, I'm commanding my soldiers and shit on the battlefield. She's like standing in the kitchen, just like, fucking in my ear. And I'm just like, leave me the fuck alone. I was also on a shit ton of Xanax. I was prescribed 1.5 milligrams. I probably took some more. So, I mean, try to imagine. I'm about 2 milligrams deep into some Xanax with 12 shots of vodka flowing through the system. Dude, like, reasonable decision making is out the fucking window at this point. And so I'm trying to tell her, like, babe, like, let's fucking not talk about this. Just leave me the fuck alone. I want to, like, play my fucking game. Just go to bed, like, this is turned into a totally shit night. And she wouldn't fucking leave me alone. And I fucking melted down. And I have a tendency to break things when I get angry. And so I went into the bathroom for some unknowable reason, and I picked up this bottle of her perfume. It was called Alien by Thierry Mugler. And I brought it into the kitchen, and I just fucking spiked that shit on the fucking ground. Like, end zone celebration, just bam! Spiked this fucking bottle of Alien perfume. And so, of course, this little condo we're living in is just saturated with this very powerful smell. And now I'm like, I'm just horrified by this smell. And I'm like screaming at her, you need to clean this shit up. And she's like, fuck you. And so it's just, it's a marital fight. It's just like, I'm sure I'm not the only one that's been there, right? Neither of us are, we both hate each other. No one's communicating. Everybody's drunk. No one's thinking clearly. And so I up the fucking ante. And I go into the closet and I grab like a pile of her clothes and I bring them back into the kitchen and I just throw them on top of like the broken glass and the perfume. And I'm trying to like, fucking soak up the perfume and get rid of this smell, and she fucking snaps and runs toward me like, ah! And I turn around and fucking Donkey Konged her. I know, I'm not fucking proud of it. No, I'm not proud of any part of this. Please understand, I am just telling you what happened. It was a terrible situation that I massively regret, and I've been through a lot of therapy to compensate for my failures as a man. But here she comes like at me, and she's like, I'm like 5'10", and she's like maybe 5'4", and so she's like a midget running at me like, ah! And I just went bang like that, just like closed fist, bang, and it hit her like right there, like right on the top of her head, and like right on her hairline. And I mean, it felt in the moment like self-defense, but I hit her. I'm not trying to like downplay that. I hit her. And so she kind of like, it kind of dazed her, she kind of staggered. And now we're really going, now it's popped off. So she freaks the fuck out. She runs down the hall and she goes to get my infant son, who's now sound asleep, out of his crib. And she's going to try to leave the house with him. And I chase her down the fucking hallway. And I'm standing in the doorway to his bedroom. And she's holding my son in her left arm. And she's looking at me and she's yelling at me, Michael, get out of the way. I just want to leave. And I'm like, you can fucking go wherever you want. You please get the fuck out. But you have to put him down. Like, you're fucked up. You're not going anywhere with him. And she's like, no, I'm leaving. I'm just want to take my son and get out of here. You're not safe or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not fucking leaving this doorway until you put him in the crib. So she goes to try to push me out of the doorway. So she approaches me. She's got my son in her left hand, and she takes her right hand and she goes to try to push me out of the way. And due to her height, when she goes to push me, her hand like impacts like my belt region, like right here. Where, of course, my 9mm pistol is in my inside the pants holder. And so when she tries to push me out of the way like that, she grabs the fucking top of the gun, and it kind of like rises up out of the holster. And so instinctively, I reach down and push it back down into the holster. So of course, in her intoxicated state, she sees me reach for my fucking gun, and she goes, "What are you gonna do? Shoot me?" And I'm like, "No, Amanda, I just want to go play fucking Company of Heroes. Like, I just want you to fucking go to bed. So just put him down, and we'll go talk." And so finally she agrees to put him down. And she went out out of the bedroom, and she grabbed this cordless phone like she's gonna call the police. Mistake number 2. I should have fucking let her do it. I snatched the fucking cordless phone out of her hand, and it was back in the day, it was like old battery-powered cordless phone. I snatched the cordless phone, like when people had landlines, and I snatched the cordless phone out of her hand. I ripped the fucking battery out of it. I threw the battery back somewhere, and I threw the phone into our bedroom. And so now she's even more pissed off. So she runs down the hallway. She runs into the living room. In our living room, there's like a couch that's like in the middle of the floor because it's kind of like a living dining. So you can kind of move around the couch. And so it's literally like a scene from Mr. and Miss Smith or some shit where I've chased her down the hallway. She's on one side of the couch, I'm on the other side of the couch, and we're like chasing each other back and forth. She's trying to figure out how to get away from me, and I'm trying to figure out how to keep her in the fucking house, because now I know that this entire situation is escalated into, somebody's fucking going to jail, and like self-preservation, I don't want to go to jail. So we're chasing each other around the house, and then she kind of goes this way, and then she goes that way, and she runs to the fucking door. So she's making her way to the front door, and I try to fucking stop her from getting out the front door. And I reach out like to grab her like this. She's running away from me. And when I reach out to grab her, I get her by the neck with one of my hands. And my nails get her neck right here. And I scratched her neck. And she was wearing like a little white spaghetti strap top. And so like I grab her like this and I get her top. And so I put 3 scratches on her neck, and I can't remember if it broke the top string or if it tore it. I can't remember which one. Okay, now keep in mind, this is November in fucking Seattle, okay? So it's not fucking warm outside. Well, so when I grab her at the door, when I have her at the door, she starts screaming at the top of her fucking lungs, just like, she just belts out this blood-curdling scream. So I panic and let go of her. She turns, opens the door, and goes screaming into the fucking night. Like, this scream will chill your fucking blood if you hear it. Like, she goes screaming into the night. So I panic, and I take the fucking gun that's in my pants out of my pants pocket, and I put it in my jacket. I had like a Murano wool long coat, and I put it in my long coat, and I grab my fucking keys, and I run out the front door and get in my car, which was I was driving a Silverado at the time, and I peel out, like taking off down the street. Now this is all relevant to this story. Every single detail I'm telling you, you're going to see why in a minute, is very relevant to this entire proceeding. So, I have now fled the apartment. To make matters worse, I've just assaulted my wife by the letter of the law, and I have fled the scene of the crime, and it's probably 40 degrees at a maximum in Seattle, and I'm wearing dress shoes, dress pants, and a fucking wife beater tank top. That's all I have on. So my plan at this point is to go to a hotel room. This is a work night. I think this is a Thursday. So I immediately realized there's no way I can go to work. I don't have my laptop. I don't have any of my fucking work stuff. I have no clothes. I'm shit-faced drunk. I don't even know where I'm gonna go. Luckily I had my wallet. And so I drive to a Walmart that was relatively nearby, and I go into the Walmart probably like it looked in panic. And I go into the Walmart and I'm looking for a dress shirt. So I thought I'll go buy a dress shirt and then I'll go to a hotel. And so I rush through the Walmart, rapidly figure out that they either don't have dress shirts. I don't know why. I remember I went in and I got out very quickly. So I get out of the Walmart, I get in my truck, and I'm driving out of the parking lot. And as I'm driving out of the parking lot, 2 fucking cop cars come into the parking lot. So the town that I was living in is called Edmonds. It's north of Seattle. You can look it up. Edmonds, Washington. Really nice part of the Seattle area. It was multi-million-dollar homes. We lived like a mile from the sound, from the water, and this really nice little condo. And so Edmonds police, I guess it was, comes pouring into the Walmart, but like I'm thinking, doesn't have anything to do with me, So I go across the street and I use a payphone. Remember those things? And I'm like, look, I gotta call her and try to do some damage control and go home and get a change of clothes and get all my work shit and just go sleep it off at a hotel. So I call her and she answers. Now, when she answers, I do not know that the police are already at my condo, at our apartment. So she answers the phone and they're listening to everything that's happening. And I'm like, hey, look, she's like, what do you want, basically? And I said, look, I want to come home and get my things. And she's like, no, you're going to hurt me. And I was like, I swear to God, I don't want any more. I never wanted this to begin with. Like, you could put it on the front porch. I don't give a shit. I just need to come home and get my some stuff for work and some stuff to go to a hotel. She starts asking me suspicious questions about the nature of the fight we just had. And that was my first clue that something was not right, because she's not that smart, at all. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not talking about anything. But I'm coming home right now. And she's like, okay. Fucking sign number 2. So I'm shit-faced, and I'm scared that by now there was probably cops at my house. And so I don't want to add DUI to whatever trouble I'm already in. So there's these random dudes sitting in a fucking Ford, whatever it was back in the day. Not the Explorer, but the one bigger than that. No, not the Explorer, not the Expedition. So these 2 dudes are sitting in this Expedition, and I go in this this is a relatively seedy area of town. I go walking over to him, I explain hey man, I live 5 minutes down the road. I got in this fight with my wife. I'm drunk. I don't know what's going on at my house. I don't want to get picked up on a DUI. I'm not thinking anything major, I just don't want to get a DUI. At this point, DUI is the most trouble I'm thinking I'm going to get in. And so I'm like, dude, I'll give you $30 fucking in cash right now if you'll drive me 5 minutes down the road. Guy's like, fucking climb in, buddy. So I hop in the front seat of this truck or this SUV. And I'm giving this guy directions, and we're headed to my condo. I mean, you cannot script this shit, okay? We're 3 minutes down the road, and this fucking guy that I don't know, who I've just climbed into his car, reaches into the console and pulls out, I think it was a crack bong, He was smoking crack, okay? I've never done this in my entire life. I've done blow, but I've never done crack. And so I don't know if there's such thing as a crack bong, but he literally pulls this thing out. I'm looking at him like, what? He goes, hey dude, want some crack? I'm like, oh my God, get me. The whole point of me getting this guy to give me a ride is because I don't want a DUI. Now I've just found out that I'm in the vehicle with some crackhead who has crack in the car. So I am just like out of my mind with panic. Like I just literally want to open the door and just fucking bail out. And I'm like, I said literally to the guy, no bro, thank you. I have enough problems right now. Like the last thing I need to do is smoke crack on top of everything else that's going on. So he's like, okay. But he's hitting this thing and I'm just like, oh my God, this is gonna go so bad. So we pull up to so we pull up and he turns right onto my street, and to paint the picture, the street that I live in dead ends into my front door. So it's not really a cul-de-sac, but it's a dead end street, and there's condos that go all the way around, and my condo is fucking dead at the end of the street. When he turns onto the street, it's like all looks quiet. There's no cars, there's no movement. And so for like a half of a fucking second, I breathe this deep breath of like, oh, okay, cool, this is gonna be okay. No sooner do I think this is gonna be okay than whoop, 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 fucking 2 cop cars come from behind us. One comes from this like little parking lot area that I haven't noticed. Lights, red and blue lights on, spotlights on, fucking cops just start surrounding the fucking vehicle, and I'm like, oh my, again, the only thing at this point that I'm scared of, one was the alcohol, now number 2 is that I'm in the vehicle with somebody who has crack cocaine. I just think I'm gonna catch a drug charge. That's all that's on my mind. The cops start surrounding the vehicle. One of the officers approaches the driver, and as soon as he starts talking to the driver, I immediately interrupt him because I don't want this fucking guy to say a word. And I look to the officer, and I've got my hands up, and I go, sir, I think I'm the guy you're looking for. And he asks me my name, and I tell him my name. He's like, get the fuck out of the car, get the fuck out of the car. I'm like, holy shit. So I get out of the car, I tell the guy, I'm like, I don't know these guys. They just gave me a ride. I don't have anything to do with them. I do not know them. I'm standing outside the car. They tell these guys, get the fuck out of here, because all they care about is me. There is 8 cops, males and females, in a circle surrounding me. I think tactically this was not a good move because they all are fucking guns drawn. I'm standing in a wife beater and a fucking pair of dress pants and dress shoes, 40 degrees outside, freezing to death, but my adrenaline is so high that I was standing in hell. Like, I mean, it might as well have been 110 degrees outside. I am frozen solid, hands in the air, and I'm not fucking moving. And they're, don't fucking move. And I'm like, ah. They're like, where's the fucking gun? I don't have it. I don't have the gun. Where's the gun? I'm like, the gun's in the house. So I'm standing there, and there's all these guns pointed at me, and one of the officers comes, and they fucking grab you to put your hands. I'm cooperating to the fucking maximum. So like every time I see like some video online where somebody got beat up by the cops, or they got mistreated by the cops, or they got shot by the cops, I have no sympathy for any of these people. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what you were doing. I don't care what. I was hammered drunk and loaded on Xanax. And the second those cops pointed those fucking guns at my face, insta fucking sober, dude. You get no sympathy from me if you act like a dumbass in front of the cops. I know exactly what it's like to have cops point handguns at you, and there was zero fight in me at all. The fact that I did not shit down my leg is a miracle. I'm standing there, and so they fucking put me in handcuffs, and they pat me down, and they find out that there is no gun on me. I'm like, sir, I do not know what's going on. I don't have the gun on me. Like, I will cooperate with you, please, just don't hurt me, basically. So by the time they realize that I don't have the gun and I've been totally 100% compliant, you can feel like, okay, like the energy is dropping, you know? Like, but when I got out of that car, it was like, dude, the feel was insane. The air was vibrating around me. It's a miracle I didn't get shot. I mean, these people were fucking half-cocked and ready to blow my head off in that street. And so the cops, now they're kind of calming down, and they take me to the car, and I'm like, what is going on? And they're like, sit tight, sir, we're gonna be back. We're gonna explain everything. So, cop goes in the house. I'm sitting in the car trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Okay, so the arresting officer comes back out of the fucking house, and he says, I'm like, can you please tell me what the fuck is going on? Like, why am I in trouble? Why have you placed me under arrest? And he says, well, we got a call from your wife, and I can't remember exactly what he told me the night of, but she had reported that I pointed a gun at her and that I threatened to kill her. That part, at a minimum, is what he told me in the back of the car. And I was just like, I just like dropped my head, and I was like, sir, that is absolutely untrue. Yes, I had a fight with my wife. At no point did I point a gun at her. None of this has happened. And he said, okay, you know, no problem. He asked me some question. I don't remember what it was, but I know it led me I think he asked if I was on any drugs, or if I was like dependent on anything, if I was gonna be coming down off of anything. And I said, yes, I take a not small amount of Xanax, and I have a bottle in the house. I cannot stop taking this cold turkey. And he's like, okay, no problem. So he goes into the condo, he comes back out with the Xanax bottle and, like, I guess whatever minor possessions he had already taken, like my wallet, my keys, and my phone or whatever. I guess I didn't have a cell phone at that point. I can't even remember. This is a long fucking time ago. And so off we go. So like he, you know, makes sure I'm all belted in and everything. And so he starts driving away. We get on the highway, and I'm like, Edmonds is that way. And 'cause at this point, I still, it's not sank in like how much trouble I'm in. And I said, Are you taking me to city? And he goes, no, sir. You know, I'm going to be taking you to county tonight. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm just sitting there, you know, hammered, you know, chilling, like fucking don't know what's going on, because I have no idea the trouble I'm in. And so I'm not really scared yet. And he goes, he's already read me my rights. And he goes, you don't have to talk to me, but, you know, if you want to, like, he's like, you know, would you be willing to tell me, would you be willing to talk to me and tell me what happened tonight? Never answer this question. Luckily, I did not get myself in trouble, and I did talk to him. But if you are ever in this circumstance, please, please, please listen to me. After you have, really at no point, if there is any chance you have possibly committed a crime, which basically is always, anytime the cops are talking to you, you should just act as if you are going to prison for the rest of your life if you say a single fucking word. You should just never, under any circumstances, talk to the police if you are being accused of a crime, because basically everything you say can and will be used against you, and it just almost never works out. In my case, I did talk to the officer, and I said, sir, all that happened was my wife and I had a fight. We had a fight. Some things in the house got broken. I left to go fucking lights. I decided to get out of the situation because, you know, it wasn't good. And so I was just going to go to a hotel and sleep it off. And I didn't have the clothes and things that I needed. So I came back to my condo just to pick up the things that I needed to go to a hotel. And you guys were there. And he was like, that's it. And I'm like, that's it. Like, I did not do any of the things that she said that I did. And he was like, okay. And that was it. And so he drives me down to county, and where the absolute hell begins. So if you've never been to county, it is one of the worst experiences that you will ever go through in your lifetime. You first go to booking, and you sit in a tiny little cell with people who are overdosing. Well, not overdosing, but who could be strung out on drugs, alcohol, prostitutes, thieves. Like, it's the middle of the night, so pretty much everybody in there, it's just a horrible situation to be in. You're in this little concrete room with like a concrete bench that you sit on, and you sit in there forever, it feels like, and it's just a horrific. Some people are trying to sleep, some people are snoring. It's just terrible. It's gross, it's filthy, it's dirty. It's just no place you ever want to be for fucking 10 seconds. And so I'm sitting in there for what feels like an eternity, and finally they call my name. And I come up to this desk where they're gonna read me my charges, and they're gonna start the process. They're gonna start to process me. And the lady says, "Sir, you've been charged with assault 1 with a deadly weapon, assault 2 with a deadly weapon, unlawful imprisonment with a deadly weapon, kidnapping with a deadly weapon, harassment with a deadly weapon, and assault 2 strangulation." I fucking completely lost feeling in my legs. Like, as she's reading off these charges, I know, I know enough about criminal law and sentencing guidelines that I'm literally just tallying up the fucking total number of years I'm fucked as if I was just ringing up fucking, groceries at a register. And so I instantaneously know, based on what she's telling me, that I'm facing 25 to life at a fucking minimum. And like I said, my brain stopped communicating to my spinal column, and I fucking hit the deck. Like, I just fell to the floor. And they come over there and they like pick me up, and I get back up on the counter, and she says, "Sir, do you understand the charges that I've read to you?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Sir, are you feeling suicidal?" And I said, which I shouldn't have said, I go, you just read me 25 to life. Like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty fucking suicidal at this moment. Lesson number 2. Never, ever, 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 for any circumstances, tell someone in any kind of a facility, especially a booking facility at a police department, that you are feeling suicidal. They will not see the humor in what you just said. I was being sarcastic. I wasn't actually feeling suicidal. I mean, I was kind of suicidal, but like what I meant was, you just told me I could be going to prison for the rest of my life. Yeah, the thought of killing myself has definitely crossed my mind in the last few fucking minutes. I was trying to be a smartass. I wasn't really going to do anything, but of course they don't know that. So no sooner do I say that than these 2 fucking big ass goon cops come and grab me by both of my fucking arms and take me into this fucking other cell and strip me naked and tell me to turn around and bend over and spread them so they can look into my rectum, which, for a heterosexual man who's never been arrested, is one of the single most fucking humiliating experiences of your life. But you're so scared. I mean, it's just, Christians talk about hell. I just don't know how it gets worse than this. Like, I just can't. A lake of fire, as far as I'm concerned, is a fucking walk in the park next to 2 cops standing there looking in your fucking butthole. Like, there's, what? You're in like this concrete room with no witnesses and you're butt naked spreading your cheeks? No, this is hell. Absolute hell on earth right fucking now. And so they confirm that I don't have anything on me to hurt myself with. And then some other fucking cop comes with what they call the Barney Suit, which is basically it's like if you cut my shirt in half, and then instead of stitching it around, it has Velcro. So you've got 2 pieces of a shirt that half-ass Velcro into basically a dress, so that and it's very, very thick. it's basically designed so that there's no way you can turn the clothing into a noose or anything to injure yourself with. So now I'm in a solitary confinement cell in the Barney Rubble suit with my bare naked ass and balls sitting on the cold concrete bench. And now I'm even more suicidal than before. Like, I just cannot tell you, like, it was like 2 hours ago I was sitting at a bar having a great time, feeling like I was living this amazing new life in this new city, and I had so much to explore, and I'd been hiking and taking pictures of all the beautiful sights and wildlife and mountains and streams and rivers. And now I'm sitting my bare ass and shriveled testicles on a concrete bench in a booking in county jail facing life in prison. And I'm drunk and fucked up on Xanax. Like, nothing. It's just, there's no words in the English language that I could ever use that would accurately describe what this truly feels like, other than to say that, like, I felt like I was in hell. I have no idea how long I was in that room, but it was a very fucking long time, until finally they came and got me. And I didn't know all of these things because I'd never been arrested, but I'd never been to county before. Like, I'd been arrested like on a traffic warrant, you know, like I had an unpaid traffic ticket. So I'd been to jail like once or twice, and you go to city and you pay the ticket or whatever, or you pay your little whatever, and you sit there for 6 hours and then they just fucking cut you loose. Like, I'd never been in any kind of, I'd never caught a charge. I had never done anything in my life. Like, I was just I'd been a complete law-abiding citizen my entire life. I had a gun. I had a gun permit. Like, I was never had this experience. And so that I don't know that because I have made a suicidal threat, that rather than going to general population, they instead took me and put me in what's called the hole, which is solitary confinement inside of a wing of the jail where all of the worst offenders go. So basically, if you go to jail and you get in fights, or you make threats, or you try to kill yourself, or you're totally mentally insane, there's a number of ways that you can end up in what's called the hole, which is a solitary confinement cell that is very, very small, and you were locked inside of this cell for 23 hours a day. You get out for 1 hour per day, and that hour's on a rotating clock. So that hour may be at 3 o'clock in the morning, it may be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you have no fucking idea. And you're already considered to be like one of the worst people being housed in the jail, because the cops don't know, like, they don't, unless they go digging into it, they don't know why you're there. So all of the jailers who work in the hole treat you like you are the absolute scum of the fucking earth. And because I was on suicide watch, what that means is that you're not allowed to sleep, basically, because they have to make sure that I'm not going to hurt myself. They don't know, again, that I was being sarcastic. And so you're basically laying in this bunk, and you get one book. I was surprised I even got that. And I'm basically in the throes of a full-blown panic attack at this point. And, even if you try to fucking sleep, they come by every 15 minutes to make sure that you're still alive. So every 15 minutes, if you're sleeping, and there's light, the lights never go off. So you're in a lit room 24 hours a day. And if you are laying on your bunk and you're asleep, they will bang on the door until you move so that they can verify that you're alive. So you never actually sleep for more than 15 minutes at a time, because they constantly are knocking on the door to make sure that you move. So you're in hell. And so, the first this video is already going so long, and I haven't even started the process of the actual legal circumstances. So I guess this is going to have to be an entire series of videos, maybe, going into what the situation was like. But, so I was in the hole for 4 days. During the 4-day period of time, the Xanax that the cop brought to jail with me, they threw in the fucking trash. I don't know why he even brought it. So obviously you're not allowed to bring your own drugs to jail because they have no machines to test and verify what they are. And because Xanax is a scheduled drug, they don't give it to you when you are in county jail, at least not 2007. So on top of all of the horrific things that are now going on in my life, it's the middle of the night, probably early in the morning by this point. I have missed 2 of my Xanax doses. And so I am going into Xanax withdrawal for the first time in my life. I didn't know you could withdraw off of Xanax. I'd been prescribed it by a doctor for years, and he didn't tell me anything about it. Like I didn't know what was going to happen. And so all of the terrible feelings that I was having all over my body, I just thought were side effects to the fact that I was terrified of what I was facing. So over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours, I don't honestly remember exactly how long. They brought food at one point, and I don't think it was food. It certainly didn't then. And so I realized I'm going to starve to death in this place, and I'm starting to go through withdrawal. There was a guy that was housed at the end of this cell block who was certifiably insane. And I found out through like the prison phone, which is like all of the other people in the cell block talking to one another, that he routinely would, I don't know if I can even say this on YouTube, he would go to the bathroom, number 2, on the floor of his cell, and then he would collect his excrement and he would mold it into, he would try to make like little figurines out of it, and he had them sitting on the window of his cell, in his cell. And he was completely insane. He would scream at all hours of the night. Like I cannot tell you the terror and the misery of it. I couldn't sleep. I was withdrawing. I couldn't sleep for more than 15 minutes at a time. The cell smells like feces. This guy's screaming in the middle of the night. He was like a total lunatic. He would be banging on the wall, on the like the metal bunk there, and then he would get all of the rest of them going, and some of them would be screaming murderous threats at him, and others would be banging on their fucking bunks. And so it felt like I was housed with a bunch of human, like chimpanzees that had all completely lost their minds. They would scream and yell and cuss, and it was just, I like fucking having PTSD flashbacks just thinking about this. And so at one point, this particular individual decided to board up his window. He covered the window to where the cops couldn't come in. And so they brought what's called the CERT team, which I don't even remember what that stands for now, but basically it's like a SWAT team inside the jail. And they opened the fucking door, and he was inside of his cell completely naked. And they tried to go in and get him, and he tried to run around. He tried to hide between the toilet and his bunk. And when the way he went in there, he bent over and exposed himself. And when they maced him, they maced his entire rectum. And so suddenly you hear this blood-curdling scream, and this guy's screaming at the top of his lungs, and the cops are screaming, and you hear this flailing around in there. I thought they were killing the guy. I thought I'm in my fucking cell, and I'm just like, I'm screaming now with my hands over my head, just like, no, just like, mommy, like, get me the fuck out of here. And they drug him out, like, they just drugged this guy out on, I don't know, like, they drug him out, and he disappeared. I guess he went to a medical wing. And so this type of shenanigans continued, and my mental state continued to deteriorate because I was withdrawing off the Xanax until at one point, I think, I don't remember how long I'd been in there, I started feeling like, I started feeling this indescribable feeling, like, just like impending doom, like something was majorly wrong. And inside the room, there's a button that you can push to try to talk to the guard. And I pushed the button, and I don't even remember what I said. I don't know if I screamed for help or what I said on the button. But the next thing I remember, I was on the floor of the cell, and when I came to, there was 2 guards and a nurse of some kind standing in the doorway. And I remember coming to, and I honestly started crying, and I kept saying repeatedly, I don't belong here, I don't belong here, I don't belong here, I don't belong here. And my whole body hurt all over. And I heard they said something, what's going on? And I said, I just need my Xanax, I think. I said something about the Xanax, and the nurse was like, Xanax? Like, how much Xanax? You know, and I explained, like, I take 1.5 milligrams of Xanax a day. It's prescribed to me for 3 years now or something. And the nurse looks at the guard and goes, oh my God, you cannot, this guy just had a fucking seizure. Like, you're gonna kill this guy. You can't not give him these meds. And so it turns out that I had a seizure in the cell because I was withdrawing off the benzos, and if it wasn't for this nurse, I don't know if I would have fucking died. So after that shit happened, their attitude toward me started changing real fucking rapidly, probably because they were scared they were gonna get their asses sued. And the nurse had fucking Xanax delivered. Somehow they got Xanax delivered into the prison, into the county jail, which I had to pay for, and it was exorbitantly priced. And they started me back on my regular dose. I don't know what phone calls they had to make or what all transpired to get that done. But within a very short period of time, they were bringing me my normal fucking dose of Xanax. And of course, when I got that in my system, then everything, you know, at least started coming back down to some type of manageable state. And then I began talking to the guards and explaining to them, like, dude, I'm not gonna kill myself. I'm not suicidal. I'm not guilty of any of these charges. Like, we're gonna work this out. There's no way that this can really be happening. I don't know what the fuck my wife said, but I need to get an attorney right away. And so there was this one guard that was really cool, and he actually spent some time listening to me. He could probably tell that I wasn't like everybody else in there, and that I had a couple of brain cells, and I'm telling this guy all the stories. And so he gave me, you know, phone time to get a hold of my dad, and, you know, he gets notified back in Dallas what's going on. So he starts getting into the process of finding me an attorney. And eventually this particular officer, who I don't remember his name, but I wish I did, because I would fucking do I would do anything for this guy. Like, he got me out of the fucking hole. He got me transferred out of there. He was like, you do not belong in here. There's no reason for you to be in here with these people. And he made some phone calls and got me to transfer to general population, where the next part of this story begins. So I think I will end this video here, and we'll just call this How I Got Arrested or something. And so that's how I made it in November of 2007 to county jail. And at this point, I was still facing 25 to life in prison, but I was back on my meds. I was clean and so, well, I wasn't clean. I was on my meds. I was sobered up, and I was ready to start defending myself and try to unfuck this entirely god-awful situation that I got myself into. So stay tuned, because on the next video, I'm going to tell you everything that unfolded from the point that I got put into general population. And we'll probably try to cover the second part, which will be the 7 months that I spent locked up in county jail because they had me on a no bail hold. Based on the stories that she told them, they were so concerned that if I got let out, that I would go and kill her. And so they gave me no bail. No bail. There was no amount of money. $1 million would not get me out. I was being held on a no bail hold. And so I was forced I was accused of crimes. So like they tell you in America that you're innocent until proven guilty. That is a categorical lie. I was held in county jail in Snohomish County, Washington for 7 months before I could prove my innocence on the vast majority of the charges that they lodged against me. So stay tuned. If you've made it this far, please come back and watch the second video, because it's only going to get more insane from here, if you can believe it. And I'll tell you about the 7 months that I spent fighting my case, and then we'll get to the actual trial itself, and we'll see how long it takes to get all these videos together. So, as always, thank you for watching this, and we'll see you on the next one.